So, one of my students has asked to learn this three-part jig called The Queen of the Fair, which is a well-known jig, very nice, and you'll hear it played in a lot of different ways by different people with very nice variations. So let's have a go at it. It's not too difficult. There's a few little jumps and things to bear in mind, but I think you'll find it fairly straightforward. So let's get on with the first part. Now, before you start the first part, if we're going to play it slowly, you're going to need a fair bit of air in your bellows because there's a lot of pushing on the D chord. So make sure you've got some air in your bellows before you start. We'll play a couple of leading notes there. And I'll show you a fairly simple version without any rolls or fancy decorations. We can look at those later. That's the first phrase. In fact, I would start the F sharp on my middle finger here, because when we want to do rolls or other things, it's quite handy to start with your middle finger on that button. So, to pick up notes, you notice I brought my ring finger down to be able to get that low A with my index. So that'll be the first phrase, and you'll need quite a bit of air for that. So then we get an arpeggio starting on the D, so I find it handy to change, but you can use different fingering if you like. Come down for the next phrase. This is pretty much all on the pull. So that's G, B, G. A simpler way of playing that would be do that if you like. But I like to get this little triplet up here using the outer F sharp. And since there's three E's there, actually there's not, but we'll grace the second one. So let's put those two together. Sorry. Again. Two little leading notes there, and off we go again. This time, basically playing G, F, G, outer row F sharp, but we'll grace it with this note. So, the whole first part. So there's the first part, and that of course is repeated. Let's now go on to the second part. The second part starts up in the starts on, we'll have a pickup note of E here, and then an F sharp afterwards. You could of course play that on the row. I prefer to cross like that. Having played the D once, we're going to play it again. those two together. Let's use a grace note of G this time, a pickup note of G this time, to play the same phrase again. So far so good, and then the little ending tag. You could of course play that on their own. That will come up a couple more times, that little ending tag, so remember that. So, starting from E, the second part. There's the second part for you. Now the third part is a little bit longer. It has a second time ending, so you've got an extra 4 bars to learn. But apart from that, it's pretty repetitive. So we're going to start with a little pickup note of B here. And then again, you need a lot of air in your bellows to start this next phrase. We're just going to play. Okay. Got that. Now we're going to do a little run up to the G here, or the arpeggio of A, sort of A7 chord. Which I don't like all that much, and I usually avoid it, but this is the conventional way of playing this phrase. Finishing off, coming down the arpeggio of A again. Putting those two together, we get okay, let's do that again. Then we do the first part of that phrase again. And this time, instead of playing, we're going to do something different. E, F sharp, G in the high octave. And you do the same thing immediately afterwards in the lower octave. And yes, it's our little ending tag. So that is the first time ending for the third part. You have to know where your octave is. So here's the third part with the first time ending. Do that for you once again. First time ending. And off we go again. Sorry. That's the same, and now we get the second time ending. Sorry. Go down to the same phrase. second time ending, the second part with the second time ending is like this. So back to the beginning of the second part, but for the second time. The third part, I should say. So the whole third part. Now do bear in mind that there are many ways of playing all these sequences, and most players of flutes and fiddles and pipes will do nice long notes with rolls to decorate those notes, and so we can look at some of those too. So that's the basic tune of the three parts. Now a quick word about some variations and ornaments you can do. This tune is very much associated in the minds of box players anyway with the playing of Joe Cooley, and it's on his one and only record that was made during his lifetime, and he invariably starts that long F sharp there with a roll, which would be done something like this. So it's, and if I were to play that, which I don't usually, but if I were to, I would make sure I finished it with my ring finger, like that. So that's a roll. You can practice those if you like. In fact, I think you should. Practice them, learn how to do them, and then don't do them. The reason I don't like them is that is why I don't like them. And having, grown up with Irish music as a fiddle player and then a whistle player, I can't hack these out of key grace notes in box players' rolls. But you might be able to, and that's basically how it's done. And you can work on getting that nice and smooth. What I would probably do instead of that would be just to play the F sharp 3 times. Probably using finger swapping. And normally I would do 1 2 1, but because I want to go down, I would do 2 1 3. Like that. And I would probably throw in the grace note, something like this. Which I would prefer to that, but you choose whatever you like. Another little variation that people often do in that first phrase, instead of going down to 2 low A's, they'd actually play a quick F sharp and 1 low A, something like this. Which is nice too. You can try that. Again, you might want to do a roll to finish this phrase. Finish this part. That doesn't sound so awful to my ears because the outer row grace note is an F sharp, which of course is in key. Da-dli-adam. I would probably prefer to play. Okay, what else? plating that, repeating it the second time. I'll do one of my half rolls there. Now, in the third part, these are just a few of the things you could do. I think I probably heard this from Tommy Peoples, and a lot of the time he doesn't play, which I find that A7 chord a bit much. I think what I often do, instead of playing I actually do so that in position would sound like. You could do rolls on all these long notes. You could do them all, or you could do... Just save your rolls or your half rolls for one or two of the notes, or play them all. Anyway, there's a few ideas for variations, but I hope you'll enjoy getting to grips with this jig. Queen of the pair. The Queen of the pair. The Queen of the Fair. Thanks for watching.